Welcome to the CARES Regional HMIS Policies and Procedures training. This is part 1 of the 3-part new user training series. The HMIS new user training series, like I said, is a 3-part training. In this first video in the series, we're going to review policies and procedures, and this session is completed by all users. The second video in this series is going to be awards navigation, and the second video will be completed by all users. The third videos located within the training series is an awards data entry demonstration. Users will select the demonstration video based on their funding source. Upon completion of this training, you will be authorized to use the CARES Regional HMIS Awards database, and you will also have a better understanding of all of the universal and required program data elements. My name is Kelly Clark. I have been on the HMIS team at CARES since March of 2014, and I have been a user of the CARES Regional HMIS database since 2012. On the agenda for this training, we're going to review the purpose of HMIS. We're going to discuss what our responsibility at CARES is as your system administrator, agency responsibilities. We're going to review user responsibilities, communication protocol, and then we're going to review consumer inclusion consent, as well as data sharing. So what is an HMIS? Back in 2001, Congress said, we want to have a homeless management information system. We want to have this data collection system be computerized, and we want it to produce an unduplicated count of all of the persons and households that are receiving homeless services. We also want to be able to report out on the demographics and characteristics of persons receiving homeless services. So there is no one HMIS database. So what happened was HUD releases data specifications to agencies and software developers. At that point, communities then have the option to create their own HMIS database or to contract with a software vendor to create an HMIS database. CARES Regional HMIS, we contract with Foothold Technology, and we use their software that's called Awards. Awards stands for Affordable Wider Area Regional Database System, and this is internet-based, so there is no software or anything that needs to be downloaded on each machine that a user uses. We contracted with Foothold back in 2004 when we became the lead HMIS agency and system administrator for the Capital Region. This software is HIPAA, HOPWA, and high-tech compliant. Foothold Technology, the main portion of their business is to provide online case management software for mental health providers, and creating HMIS software is just a portion of what they do. So they're already following all medical privacy rules and regulations. What's great about this software is that we are given additional case management features at no extra cost to us or to our users. So when we talk about the CARES Regional HMIS, what is the purpose of it? Why are we entering this data? Number one, We need to produce an unduplicated count of the homeless persons and households that are receiving homeless services. It allows us to understand the nature and scope of homelessness in our community. And it also allows to develop, foster, and maintain regional collaboration. Has the ability to facilitate continuity of care in homeless services, as well as assists in the development of programs addressing the needs of homeless individuals and families throughout the collection and distribution of data. Your CARES Regional HMIS team consists of Allison Thiessen, our Director of Programs and Services, myself, Kelly Clark, your HMIS System Administrator, Sue Palmer, Customer Service Representative for our downstate communities, Lisa Drogi, she is our Customer Service Rep for our Capital Region communities, Terry O'Brien is our Lead Data Analyst, Emily Reben is one of our data analysts, and Rachel Brott is our Data Quality Associate. I also wanted to mention that in addition to being the HMIS System Administrator, I am also serving as the Customer Service Representative for our agencies in the northern region of New York State. So I have our Jefferson, Lewis, and St. Lawrence counties, as well as Clinton County and Franklin and Essex. As the system administrator, what is it that we do? Number one, we monitor for compliance based on your program's funding source. So whether you're HUD Continuum of Care funded, if you are ESG or STEP funded, Runaway Homeless Youth funded, HOPWA funded, HUD VASH, SSVF, or PATH, we monitor for compliance for those funding sources, as well as to make sure that if you are held by HIPAA regulations, that you're compliant with those as well. We provide trainings for all of our users, new user training, in addition to more in-depth training on reporting and the additional features within the awards database. We serve as the help desk. We also complete the AHAR report, which stands for Annual Homelessness Assessment Report. That is a report that we complete for all of our communities, and we then submit that to HUD. We also assist in the Continuum of Care grant application reporting. We also provide local level reporting on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. We are responsible for the creation, deletion, and monitoring of all user logins. Each participating agency must install and maintain a firewall on either the user's computer or agency network. Ensure that all computers have password-protected screensavers. Install and maintain antivirus software on every internet-accessible computer. Ensure each computer operating system is up to date with the latest security devices. And establish a privacy policy to ensure the protection of confidential client data. We also have a copy of that policy is provided to the CARES HMIS team, and that must be published on each agency website. As a user, you are responsible for keeping your username and password secure. You cannot share it with any of your coworkers. You must also treat all printed materials as private, just as you would any other part of the client's file. So anything that you print from awards needs to be put in the client's file, which is then put in a locked filing cabinet and then locked in an office at the end of the day. All users must also log off of awards when leaving your work area, in addition to logging in at a minimum of every 30 days. HUD requires us to monitor all inactive logins. And so a login is considered inactive if they haven't logged in within the last 30 days, at which point we are required to disable that login. So even if it's just a matter of setting a reminder on your calendar, the beginning of each month, if you're not going to be using awards in your everyday work, set that reminder for the beginning of every month to log in, because once we deactivate a login, the process is that the user will then contact CARES, someone on the CARES team. It's usually your customer service representative, asking that your login be reactivated. We have the ability to do that, but just know that it can take up to 24 hours to reactivate that login. And I don't want to see anybody get stuck, having a report that's due by the end of the day and not being able to get into the database. So just keep in mind that you have to log in on a regular basis every 30 days. It is also the user's responsibility to ensure that all data entry is completed within 10 days and that there is less than 5% missing or null data. The communication protocol. All client-level communications are to go through the awards system by filling out a help desk ticket. In the next training, awards navigation, we're going to go over how to fill out and send a help desk ticket. It is strictly prohibited to send client-level information, so things like the name, date of birth, social security number, even using client initials in place of their name through general email. So Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, we cannot send client level information of any sort between the CARES team and you through regular email. If this does happen, if we do receive an email that contains client level information, we will disable that user's login and they will have to go through a retraining before we can reactivate their login. Informed consent. So in the intake packet that we have on our website and in the next series training video, I'm going to show everybody where that lives. There is an inclusion consent right at the back of the intake packet. And what this inclusion disclosure, we are asking that the client initials that they have been informed that their data will be entered into the Capital Region or CARES Regional HMIS database, and that we will be reporting on their information. However, only non-identifying information is used for reporting. We never publish any reports that include client-level information. A client who refuses to initial this document is not necessarily refusing to have their data entered, unless and until they say, I do not want my data, any information about me, put into this database and complete a data entry refusal form. They're not refusing to have their data entered. They're just saying, I don't want to initial this form. So if a client says, absolutely not, I do not want my data entered into any type of database, the client must sign this client refusal form, and that refusal form must be kept in the client's file. Your program must still provide services to this client unless your agency has a policy stating otherwise, or somewhere in your specific funding it states otherwise. Each program must then keep a paper record for reporting purposes. So you're still going to have to report if you're a COC funded agency, ESG or STEP. At the end of the year, whether you submit an APR or a CAPER report, you are still going to have to report on the total number of clients served, regardless of whether or not their information was entered into the database. So you're going to have to keep those paper records. So after a client either initials their inclusion consent form or completes a data entry refusal form, we then ask the client if they would be interested in having their data shared between agencies. So when we ask them about data sharing allows users from other agencies to see which programs a client may have been in before or are currently enrolled in. They can only see basic demographic information. They cannot see any progress notes. They can't see any annual updates that have completed. The only users who can see those notes and deeper records are users that have chart access to the program that client is in. So if you look at this image at the top of the screen where it says consumer lookup results, you can see on the first line, it shows the client's personal ID followed by an awards ID. It has the client's name, social security number, date of birth, gender, race, and then the program that they were, in this instance, this client is still currently in this program. And you can see under the status column that some of the programs are displaying as a blue hyperlink. That's because the client is in those programs that I have chart access to, meaning I already have access to that program, so I can view progress notes and I can look at the entire record for that client. The fourth row down, fake client, it only shows the last 4 digits of her social security number. It does not show her date of birth. It shows her gender, but it does not show her race. And the program that she is currently in, Training UDE Only Shelter, is not a program that I have access to, so it doesn't have a link for me to click to view her information. So when we talk about sharing data between agencies, this is what we're talking about. This is all the information that is shared. So not all agencies are allowed to participate in data sharing. At CARES, we made the decision that agencies that are mental health service providers, HIV/AIDS service providers, substance abuse providers, and youth programs that only serve minors are not allowed to participate in data sharing. For mental health providers, HIV/AIDS providers, and substance abuse providers, just associating your name along with receiving any type of services from that agency, whether or not it was mental health, HIV/AIDS or substance abuse could be an automatic disclosure, and that's not something that CARES is willing to do. So right off the bat, if you are employed by any one of those agencies, you are not going to participate in data sharing. The reason youth programs that only serve minors are not allowed to participate in data sharing is because minors cannot sign for themselves. So of the remaining agencies, we every year send a data sharing form to the executive director of each agency for them to indicate which programs they want to allow to participate in data sharing, and which programs they do not want to allow to participate in data sharing. The final level of data sharing, it is left up to the client. The client is going to decide at what level they want to share their data, if at all. So simply agreeing to have your data entered into the database does not mean that the data will be shared automatically. There are safeguards in the database that will not allow that to happen. So this is the release of information that you're going to have each client that comes in fill out. They're going to select the level at which they want to have their data shared. So they are going to agree to share their name, gender, and program enrollment history with other homeless service providers. So that was that female fake client who was in the UDE training shelter. She only agreed to share her name, gender, and program enrollment histories. So that's all that displayed on that line. The second level is I agree to share my name, gender, program enrollment history, demographic, income, and contact information through the HMIS with other homeless service agencies. So that was those other fake clients. We could see on the consumer lookup results, we could see their name, their date of birth, their social security number, their gender, and their race. The third level is I do not agree to share any of my information through the HMIS with other partner homeless service agencies. This form, in which they're going to select at which level they want to, if at all, participate in data sharing, you're going to have them print their name, sign their name, and date it, as well as you're going to print your name, you're going to sign it, and you're going to date it. The level at which they choose to share their data must be the same level at which they choose to share their data within the database. There is an electronic version in the awards database, and the level of data sharing must match on both that paper form and this electronic form. When we do monitoring visits for all of our agencies, which we are required to do every year, this is one of the things that we look for. We pick a random sampling of clients, and we're looking to see that the paper version of the release is in their file and that it matches what has been listed in the awards database. That is it for this portion of the CARES Regional HMIS new user training. At this point, you can return to the training page on our website, complete the policies and procedures quiz. Keep in mind that you do need to pass with an 80% or higher. And then continue to the second part of the training.